What happens when the man you betrayed sues you for every dollar, every lie, and every year you stole from him? Doug Christie just launched the most explosive lawsuit in reality TV history, and the targets are his own wife and his own teammate. After that DNA bombshell confirmed Chris Webber is the real father of Jackie's daughter, Doug didn't cry, didn't plead, didn't rage, he lawyered up. Now Jackie Christie and Chris Webber are officially being sued for paternity fraud, identity deception, emotional distress, and more than $4.6 million in damages. This isn't just about betrayal anymore. This is about documents, contracts, retroactive support, and the public legacy they tried to steal. Jackie's brand is collapsing. Chris's endorsements are evaporating. And Chantel? She's caught between two last names, one courtroom, and a lifetime of lies. Doug stayed silent for 2 decades, but now he's coming for everything. The court system is wide open. Because this isn't just a reckoning, it's the official collapse of Jackie Christie's empire. It's one thing to be betrayed. It's another to discover the daughter you raised for 20 years was never yours. But to be mocked by your own teammate and lied to by your wife on national television, Doug wasn't walking away. He was about to sue them both into the ground. The court documents are now public. Filed in Los Angeles County Superior Court, the lawsuit reads like a Netflix courtroom thriller. But this isn't fiction. This is Doug Christie versus Jackie Christie and Chris Webber, and the charges are nuclear. Paternity fraud, intentional infliction of emotional distress, civil identity manipulation, public misrepresentation for financial gain, retroactive financial damages. Doug is seeking over $6 million, but his legal team says the number may rise as more evidence surfaces. And what's the evidence? Every lie, every secret, every receipt Jackie and Chris thought would stay buried is now Exhibit A. Doug's legal team submitted the DNA results showing zero biological relation between Doug and Chantel and a second test confirming a 99.9998% paternity match to Chris Webber. They added Jackie's journal entries where she admitted she always had doubts. Then came the voicemail where she warned Chris to stick to the story. And finally, the VH1 contract clause where she falsely claimed to be raising her and Doug's biological daughter. Let that sink in. Jackie built a reality TV career on a lie, and Doug wants every dollar that lie earned. But this case isn't just financial. Doug's demanding a full correction of Chantel's birth certificate, publicly listing Chris Webber as the biological father on all future records. This isn't about pettiness, it's about permanence. And Jackie? She's spiraling. Sources say when she got served, she collapsed in her foyer and cried for 2 hours. But this wasn't grief, it was panic, because this time, the fraud caught up. Chris Webber remained publicly silent. No statement, no post. But the fallout wasn't confined to courtrooms and contracts. It spilled into studios, brand deals, and the very air Jackie once breathed like royalty. The woman who once ruled basketball wives with a designer heel on the neck of her enemies now found herself uninvited, unendorsed, and unforgiven. Jackie's face vanished from promotional posters overnight. Podcast platforms pulled her show citing violations of authenticity. Major sponsors severed ties. The Jackie Christie empire, once curated with filtered elegance and well-lit facades, collapsed in real time. But the real implosion came from within. Jackie's inner circle began to defect. Her former assistant leaked screenshots, text threads where Jackie plotted to control the optics, draft fake DNA results, and coerce Chris into staying silent even after Chantel started asking questions. Another ex-friend revealed Jackie's plan to leak a fake cheating rumor about Doug to divert attention once the truth broke. But none of it worked. The public wasn't buying spin. The internet already crowned Doug as the father who loved harder than the lie. Hashtags surged. OGS protect Doug. All fathers deserve truth. Or DNA justice. Talk shows debated ethics. Legal analysts broke down implications. And behind the scenes, Doug's team was already working on legislation, the Christie Law, a bill to criminalize paternity fraud and mandate DNA testing in disputed birth registrations. Meanwhile, Chris Webber faced his own reckoning. Brands dropped him quietly. A Hall of Fame tribute was postponed. He attempted to meet with Doug privately, once outside the courthouse. Doug refused. This isn't a conversation. "This is a consequence," he told him before walking away. Chris cried in his car afterward, visible to reporters but saying nothing. He later released a video filmed from his backyard. "There's no excuse for silence. Doug raised a daughter I helped create but never claimed. That's on me. That's on fear. That's on cowardice." But as Doug Christie became the unexpected face of male empowerment and legal reform, Jackie Christie was quietly spiraling deeper into a labyrinth of her own creation, where every carefully placed mirror now reflected back shame, guilt, and the wreckage of a legacy built on manipulation. Behind the closed doors of her now empty Encino estate, Jackie reportedly began recording voice memos to herself, hundreds of them, trying to narrate her side of the story, but even in private, her words cracked under the weight of decades of deceit. "I didn't mean to hurt him," one memo leaked. "I just didn't think he'd stay if he knew." But what Jackie never understood, what she underestimated for over 20 years, was that Doug didn't need perfection. He needed truth. And now, with the mask ripped off and the world watching, she stood as a symbol of everything people feared, the betrayal that wears love's face. Meanwhile, Chantel was writing her own story, literally. Her memoir, built on lies, landed a 7-figure deal with a major publisher and quickly shot to the top of pre-order charts. Excerpts began to leak. One passage stunned the internet. "When I was 7, I asked why my hair didn't look like Dad's. Mom said, 'You're special.' When I was 10, Chris Webber hugged me so hard at my birthday party I couldn't breathe. When I was 16, I caught Mom crying in the hallway when she thought no one could hear. Now I know why. She wasn't mourning, she was remembering. The book promised revelations, but also empathy. Chantel didn't want revenge, she wanted release. And so did Doug, but release didn't mean forgiveness. Not yet. In a private arbitration meeting requested by Jackie, one last attempt to avoid total financial ruin, Doug sat across from her for the first time since the verdict. No cameras, no press. Just two people who once built a life on love, now divided by betrayal so profound it defied language. Jackie cried. Doug didn't. She begged for mercy, offered property, promised silence. Doug responded with a single sentence. "You made choices. I'm living the consequences." Then he walked out. No settlement was reached. Jackie's legal team filed for financial restructuring days later. Translation, she was broke. VH1 quietly removed her name from all promotional content. Endorsements disappeared. She tried launching a skincare brand, Authentic, but public backlash sank it within days. Review pages flooded with comments like, "Nothing authentic about her," and "Lies don't exfoliate." The collapse was total. Yet Doug kept rising, not in fame, but in purpose. The Christie law gained traction in state legislatures. A pilot program launched offering subsidized paternity testing for low-income fathers. Doug attended every town hall, every legal briefing. He wasn't doing it for applause. He was doing it because somewhere, a man was rocking a child to sleep, not knowing the truth. And he remembered how that felt. One night, in a rare moment of vulnerability during a podcast interview, Doug opened up. "There was a night after I found out, before the lawsuit, when I just sat in the dark, holding a baby photo of Chantel and wondered, was it all a lie?" And the answer is complicated. The biology was a lie. But the memories, the bedtime stories, the first steps, that was real. "My love was never fake, even if the foundation was," the host cried. The audience cried, and Doug didn't flinch, because his story wasn't about pain anymore. It was about purpose. And Jackie? She tried a comeback, leaked a teaser for a documentary, posted cryptic clips of herself walking through vineyards, talking about healing and truth having many versions. But the internet didn't buy it. Truth has only one version, and Jackie had already told hers under oath. Chris Webber, for his part, kept a low profile. No interviews, no deals. Just a series of quiet appearances with Chantel. They were spotted at a WNBA game, then a brunch, then walking through Central Park. No cameras invited. Just a father trying to learn how to show up, decades late but present. Chantel's publicist confirmed they were rebuilding with boundaries. Doug never interfered. When asked, he simply said, "That's her story now, not mine." But people kept asking. Because what Doug did wasn't just powerful, it was rare. A man hurt that deeply who didn't destroy in return, but instead chose to build something permanent, something protective. People wanted to understand that kind of strength, wanted to touch it. And in a world obsessed with scandal, Doug Christie gave them something else: dignity. Not the kind sold in interviews or merch drops, but the kind lived quietly, when no one is watching, when the cameras are gone. That's why when Oprah called, Doug hesitated. It wasn't about spotlight. But her team insisted, this isn't about celebrity, this is about truth. He agreed. The sit-down aired live.